is now July, and you'd think that people in Fortnite would have learned their lessons by now. Jimmy, get in the dunce corner. No more hacking. You're done. And then we tried giving him the boy. But Jimmy came back bigger and stronger than ever with some 1337 hacks that not even Epic Games can stop. But luckily for us, we happen to know a certain detective. Yes, that's right. It's...
Yeah, pick me! Pick me!
Fred.
Zniszczę wszystkich hakerów.
Fred, you're fired as the detective. Well, I guess that leaves it to me. Top 5 Gaming. Let's get into telling you guys all the ways players cheat so you can click that report button when you see anything out of the ordinary. Onto the video. Yeah. Woo. Number 5. Ramp warping and the Porta Rift shooting. Ramp warping. Wow, that sounds way more complicated than it is. Imagine you were playing a regular match of Fortnite, and then you see a player and get into a build battle with them. You're both shooting at one another at any opportunity while walls and stairs are created around you. Now imagine you get the high ground on this player, but they're getting ready to shoot you. In a last second of panic, you place a floor right on top of them and trap them in a build. Well, that's all good, right? Actually, no. What if the player just shot you straight through your own build and eliminated you? That's what we call ramp warping. And the hitbox on a ramp doesn't actually appear because there's a player inside of it. You've probably experienced this yourself if you've built a floor on yourself and jumped up to get out of it, essentially warping through it. Most of the times this happens, it's an accident. However, players have learned to exploit this and stand on ramps strategically in order to not be affected by builds. It's practically cheating. Not only that, but if you use a Porta Rift to get out of there, they can still end up eliminating you. How? Well, all you have to do is spam the reload button when you're rifted, and you get access to your weapon and can immediately take out the enemy next to you. This is a ridiculous exploit which many players still use today. Alternate methods include using an emote while going through the rift, and that will also unlock your weapon slots. Either way, these two ways of cheating are still in the game right now, and Epic could fix them with patches, but they've been in the game for months. Life finds a way. Number 4, ban controllers. You there, you're a normal Fortnite gamer. What do you use? A mouse and keyboard? A PS4 controller? Xbox? Joy-Cons? Well, some of you might have scuff controllers, which give you more buttons, or control freaks, which give you better accuracy. Although control freaks aren't exactly cheating because you still need skill to use them. That's where modded controllers come into play. These things mod the game and exploit it to give you an unfair advantage over other players. One of these modded controllers can be plugged into a PC, and then it tricks Fortnite into thinking you're using a PS4 controller. So you end up queuing with PS4 players, and you also get aim assist. You have to move around with a PS4 joystick and more, but you can use a mouse to aim, and it gives you aim assist, which is a ridiculous advantage to have. There are also ways to use a mouse and keyboard on a PS4 console itself, with the game still thinking you're using a controller, so you can play with aim assist and against PS4 players and more. Usually when you plug a mouse and keyboard into the console, it pits you against PC players, but some players use hardware such as XIM to use their keyboard on any game whatsoever and more. Scuff controllers aren't necessarily cheating, but they do give an advantage in that you can bind the buttons on the back of the controller. Some people like to bind the buttons so they can aim and shoot with a single finger, which is nuts, and you can also use the scuffs to make building easier and more. These aren't exactly modded controllers that trick the game, but they are advantage givers, which is technically cheating. They've probably just been using a normal default controller for years. I know I have. Then you end up seeing just how many other controllers and accessories there are, which can actually make you a better player, and you wonder what you've been doing. Then again, we don't recommend going out and buying a modded controller. You'll probably be banned after a while of using it. Epic Games are getting better at detecting hardware like that, so I'd rather be safe than sorry, personally. It's not worth getting banned for just so you can have aim assist. It's not like it's aimbot. But number 3, glitches. When you think of glitches, you tend to immediately think of things that happen randomly in a match. Like you're walking through a door and then you somehow end up being catapulted into space and then you fall back down, and well, yeah, it's not fun. You get the point. But a lot of people tend to exploit glitches after they figure out how they're triggered. For example, a player could just stumble upon a bug but then realize how they activated that bug, and instead of reporting it to Epic like a good player should, they end up keeping it to themselves and they exploit it to get eliminations or even wins. Some glitches are more intense than others, and some of them are just ridiculously game-breaking. For example, some glitches allow players to do a combination of tasks, and they end up getting things that only hackers could get without glitches. Whether this is God mode, invisibility, no fall damage, infinite gliding, and more, glitches can give players a lot of things if exploited in the wrong way. While these glitches can sometimes happen by accident, and sometimes they even happen to popular streamers, doesn't mean they can't happen on purpose, and they usually do. Epic Games usually tend to patch exploits fairly quickly, but in some cases people can cheat through glitches for weeks on end without consequence. Although a lot of players who use glitches to get wins are banned from the game, and rightly so. Don't cheat, just win fair. Number 2 is hacking. Okay, here we are, the most obvious form of cheating in video game history. You really can't avoid this no matter what multiplayer game you play. Of course, you can't encounter hacking in a single player game unless you're the hacker. Whoa. It's like a plot twist where you were the hacker all along. Hollywood, get on that. Besides, there's nothing you can do against the hacker in a video game other than accept your fate or try to fight them. In the end, they almost always win. There are, however, various forms of hacking, obviously, and in Fortnite specifically, there are a select few hacks which are the most commonly used in matches and the most prominent. Complicated hacks are harder to pull off because Fortnite's anti-cheat software will pick up on them, so hackers tend to stick to smaller stuff. These smaller hacks, however, aren't even that small. They destroy the outcome of a game and can ruin the experience entirely. We're talking about Aimbot, ESPs, teleporting vehicles. Aimbot is the obvious main choice for hackers, as you can't prove it unless it's extremely 100% accuracy with snapping to a target. And an ESP is also good for hackers to remain undetected because they can use wall hacks but have no other hacks, so they can cheat without you even knowing that they saw you the whole time. Of course, a wall hacker is much harder to spot than an aimbotter, but you get the point. There are also the hackers which fly around the map in vehicles like the quad crasher and the baller, but instead of the usual boosting, they teleport to people around the map and kamikaze them. It's pretty nuts. There was a very extreme example of one of these teleporting vehicle hackers, which you can see in our recent top 5 extreme Fortnite hackers that need to be banned video. Spoiler alert, there's more than one in there. Go see for yourself. It's a crazy video filled with mind-boggling hacks and cheats that we think need to be fixed. Honorable mention number 1 is the troll. This honorable mention is quite a simple cheat which you cannot get banned for because it doesn't require any exploits or glitches or anything that is against the Fortnite terms of service. Trust me, I read the whole thing. I swear. Okay, maybe I didn't, but no one has, including you. But surely this isn't against the Fortnite rules. And if you have, then clearly you've used code T5G to be able to do that. Just use the code, come on. In this cheat, players can equip a toy soldier skin and just hide in a bush. The color of the skin allows people to blend into the bush perfectly and not be spotted even with the enemy right next to them. The toy soldier bush tactic works scarily well, and it's a pretty annoying way to get eliminated by someone. Another skin, which I discovered works well with blending into the environment, is the prickly patroller skin paired with the prickly pose emote. You literally are just a cactus stood still, and if you put yourself next to the other cacti, then it's pretty easy to blend into the environment. Try it for yourself. What's the harm? Just don't get spotted or you'll have a fight on your hands. Anyway, this troll cheat is probably the most innocent method of scoring easy kills. All the enemies have to do is not be blind. And all you have to do is not get taken out by one of these toy soldier bush cactus people things. Also, not be blind. I guess it's not as easy as it sounds. Honorable mention number 2, the llama settings trick. Editing your Fortnite settings to get the ultimate advantage is not a new thing. In fact, it's a very, very common thing to do. But did you know that you can edit your settings so you can spot llamas more easily and from thousands of meters away? Yeah, sounds crazy, right? Well, this only works for PC. Sorry, console gamers, but maybe next time. You can actually turn your view distance down to its lowest setting and then make your brightness 0, and then you'll actually be able to spot llamas from miles away. Granted, they are hard to spot, but they are actually viewable from ages away. So if you are on a sky platform or something, you could easily see a llama across the map with these settings. I can almost guarantee that this is a bug, so until it gets patched, try not to abuse it at all. Don't get banned. Number 1, teaming. Teaming is the number 1 most awful way of cheating in Fortnite, and that is almost a fact. While hacking is bad and has much more devastating effects, the hackers usually get banned from obviously cheating, and all is said and done. Now we bring forth teaming to the table. This is when people who aren't on the same team work together. It's not allowed, and it's usually when 2 friends queue up in a solo match and then find each other and work together. Have you ever been playing a solo game and you get eliminated by 2 people, but then they see each other and don't actually fight one another? Yeah, it happens all the time. That, my friend, is called teaming. You'd think they'd get punished for it, but Epic Games are scarily lenient with the consequences of teaming, at least as far as it goes in the competitive scene especially. In the World Cup qualifiers, players Ziff and Ronaldo were caught teaming with players to farm eliminations to qualify for the finals, and instead of suspending the pair from the tournament, Epic Games only gave them a 2-week suspension. Guess what? They qualified for the finals again. The finals are very close, and these teamers are guaranteed to win at least $50,000 just by competing. They'll most likely win more than that. Remember, they cheated. Teaming is also hard to prove unless it's really bright brought forward and made blatantly obvious. And with that comes the difficulty of actually penalizing and reporting teamers. I've had it many times where I felt like people were teaming against me, and then they weren't, but when I looked back on it, they might have, and then I go back and forth wondering if they were or not. The worst thing is that there's no way at all to tackle it because of how easy it is for two players to time their matchmaking perfectly to get into a game together, and that's how stream sniping works. So it's not hard for people to do this. I hope we see more consequences for teamers down the line, but in the meantime, be sure to click the annotation on screen to watch our video on the top 5 extreme Fortnite hackers that need to be banned. If you thought these cheaters were bad, just wait until you see some of these hackers. It's out of control.